Hello and welcome to DCC Model Railway Signalling. If you saw our first video, you will have seen how easy it was to create a basic track schematic with signals and points using the application. And in this video, we're going to be developing that further. So if I just start the application up by double clicking on it, um, I'm going to leave the shell window open for the time being because that's going to sort of demonstrate when we're sending the DCC commands out to the layout. But if I open up the file we were working on last time, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just configure the signals how I want. At the moment, they're 4 aspect, which aren't really appropriate for this terminus station with a single line out. So I'm going to edit each one in turn to change it to a 2 aspect signal. So signal 3, double click on that to bring up the configuration dialog. You'll see that you're able to change the signal type, but then also the signal subtype. So for this particular signal, we want to change it to a 2 aspect green and red. If we click that, and you can see then for danger and proceed, we're now able to put in the DCC command sequences. If we're using a signal such as the train tech signals, they're really easy to use, especially the 2 aspect ones, because you normally need just one DCC address for them and just send it an on command to change it to proceed and an off command to turn it to danger. So as this is signal 3, we'll assume it's set to DCC address 300 out on the layout. So I'm just going to put the address of 300 on and 300 in there. And then for proceed, we want to send the on command, and for danger, we want to send the off command. And basically, that is a configuration for signal 3. If we OK that, you will see the signal type change. And the reason I left that window open, if you want to have confidence that it's sending out the DCC bus commands, if I change the setting for logging to debug and click apply, then whenever I click anything on the screen, we'll get log messages coming up in the window. So at the moment, you can see that it's generating the DCC bus commands, but there's no confidence that they've gone out to the layout. And that's because we're currently disconnected from the SPROG DCC programmer controller. So the first thing we need to do is from that menu bar, select connect, and if we've successfully connected, we'll get an indication in the menu bar. And now we need to turn DCC power on. It's as simple as that. Now, when we click on signal 3, you can see in the window that we're now sending out DCC commands of ACE-ON, accessory short on, to DCC address 300 whenever we change it to green, and we're sending the ACE-OFF command, which is accessory short off, to DCC address 300 whenever we turn it to red. And that is the DCC configuration for signal 3 complete. If we now configure signal 2, and what we need to do here is a similar configuration. We're going to change it to a 2-aspect green and red, and as it's signal 2, we'll give it a DCC address of 200. 200 on for proceed, 200 off for danger. There's also a possible shunting move from signal 2 back into the siding. Now, what we need to do there is to just add a subsidiary aspect to the signal by clicking the box. Now if I press apply, you can see it's not only changed to a 2-aspect green and red, but you've now got the subsidiary signal aspect on there with its own control button. So you can see the subsidiary button there. The main route for the signal, i.e. controlled by the main aspect, is always going to be out to the rest of the world along the main line. The subsidiary aspect, therefore represents a right-hand diverging route, i.e. right-hand divergence from the main route back into the siding. So routes to be controlled by the subsidiary signal, right-hand one, and we can click apply. Then if we have signal 3, signal 1, open that up, and again we're going to change it to a 2-aspect green and red signal, but there's 2 possible routes from that. One route into platform 1 and one route into platform 2. So if we assume that the sort of normal route is going to be into platform 2 and there's going to be a divergent left-hand route into platform 1, and we want to signal that with route feathers. So if I just click the route feathers box, and then that gives me the option to add any number of feathers I want to the signal. So in this case, I want a single feather for the left-hand one route. And if I click apply, you'll see that we've now got a 2-aspect signal with a feather route indication for the route into platform 1. If we configure the DCC addresses, so as before, 100 and 100, 100 on for proceed, 100 off for danger, and then we need to configure the DCC commands for the feather route indicator. And if you're using a TrainTech signal, that's really easy, because that's just a single address that you set to on to turn the feather on, and you set it to off to turn the feather off. So if we assume that is address 101, and it will turn it on. But whenever we clear the signal for the main route into platform 2, we don't want a feather route indication at all. So we need to switch the feather off. But then also we've got to consider the case of when the signal is at red and we don't want to be displaying any route aspects at all, because the signal will be displaying danger. And so that's the sort of dark condition of the feather route indicator. And so what we want to do then is again 101 and turn the feather route indication off. So that completes our configuration for the signals. Now we'll just turn our attention to the points. At the moment we've got 2 separate points, but we really want them to act together because it's effectively a crossover. It doesn't make any sense just changing one and not the other. So the first thing we're going to do is to edit point 2. If we double click on that to bring up the configuration window, so we want it to be fully automatic. And if it's fully automatic, it won't have its own control button. So we just want to apply that. Now, if we double click on point 1, and whenever we change this, we want to switch point 2. So under automatic switching here, we can just enter the ID of point 2 and press OK. And now we have points that act together. Point 1 and point 2 are switched together. The one thing I did forget to do was to configure the DCC address. So if we open the point 1 configuration window again, you can see the box there to enter the DCC address for that particular point. And we only really need one DCC address because we'll be driving both points together. So let's just say that's DCC address of 1000. Apply. Then when we change the point, we can see in the logging window that whenever we switch the point, we're sending a DCC accessory short on command to address 1000, and when we switch the point the other way, we're sending the accessory short off to DCC address 1000. And that's all you need to do for DCC configuration. Now whenever you change any of the points or the signals on the layout, it will automatically send out the DCC commands to change the real signals and the real points out on the layout. And that's the end of this video. What we'll do in the next video is look at configuring the interlocking and the automation of the various signals. So until then, yeah, thanks for watching.